I'm in the game. I'm in the game. Hello, I'm in the video with my daddy.
What's going on, everybody? So we got another Meet the Modeler again, and it's from Donuts in Space is the YouTube channel. But we're gonna meet Richard here in a minute. Hopefully, everybody is enjoying this. But after this interview, I'm gonna be over on Red Dragon Model Works or the Styrene Syndicate. I don't know which YouTube channel he's using today, but we're gonna be putting together some of the next painting class today. So it's going to be a long weekend for me online. So, but here's Richard. How's it going, man?
Hey, Josh. Yeah, not too bad, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing okay. It's going to be a long weekend for me online, but I signed up for all this, so it'll be fun.
Well, didn't we all?
Right.
That's why we do the hobby. We don't do it for fun. We do it for torture.
Yeah. Right. Right. You're so right on that. My first question is the name on the channel. Did I say that right? Donut, right?
Yeah, Donuts in Space. Yeah.
Where does that name come from? There's got to be a story there.
Hi, everybody. By the way, that come from when I was a child. To be honest, when I was a kid, I used to get called Dickie Donut all the time.
Oh, okay.
So it's a nickname that actually stuck. Even though at the time I absolutely hated it when I was a kid. I would always say, my name's not Dickie Donut, it's Richard. And then walk off in a huff. But as I kind of got into my teenage years, I was like, actually, do you know what? Dickie Donut, that's quite a good nickname to have. So, yeah, that's why I decided that the channel should be Donuts in Space. I mean, obviously, reference as well to the fact that I'm a bit of a nerd and I build Trek kits all the time.
Yeah, so that's where we're going to lead into next. How many of those kits have you put together? Because you've done quite a bit if you deep dive into your channel.
Oh, yeah, crikey. Quite a few actually. I mean, I've done the four of them from Deep Space Nine, and I've also done the four from Star Trek Voyager. I mean, the Voyager that I got sitting on the bench at the moment, that's the second Voyager I built because the first one met with a bit of an ugly death. Unfortunately, I had a few problems with that kit. The clear coat that I put over the top never set. It was always a little bit sticky, so unfortunately, dust would land on it and it would actually stick to the kit. And then I put it on a shelf, the shelf of doom, if you like. And unfortunately, it fell off the shelf and hit my wife on the head, and it broke as it come down, and then hit the floor, and then broke a little bit more. So, I ended up rebuilding it.
No, I mean it's really cool how you take some of the kits and you light them up, and we're going to get into that process too, because it seems like everybody has a different process on this.
Yeah,
but not all those kits are all that great, are they? Some of them have got real bad fit issues.
So some of the kits that I've built, yeah, for sure. They do have fit issues, and then if you're like me and you want to light every single kit up, which is what I do, it then adds another layer of complexity to it because you're lighting it up, because you can't build the kit in the instruction sequence. and then you have to modify the kit as well to put the lights in. So yeah, it can be bad times all round, really. To be fair, when it comes to that sort of thing. So yeah, I mean, off camera when I'm just doing the building, there's an awful lot of swearing going on.
No, yeah, no, I put the Deep Space Nine thing together. I totally understand that. Like, I wanted to light that thing up too, and just stopped halfway through. I was like, no, I'm just putting this one together, only because I had another one to do. But
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, one of the other things that I like to do is torture myself as well, because on that Deep Space Nine runabout, sorry, on the Deep Space Nine space station, you got the little clear runabouts to go with it as well that can go on the model. And I thought to myself, wouldn't that be fun to light them up? Uh, so I did. Yeah, but that's the kind of thing I do. I'm I guess I'm one of those people that if I can't light a model kit up, I don't really want to build it. So yeah, I always tend to put lights on things.
no, that's really it's really cool how they turn out for you. That's how I first found your channel, by the way. I was
Yeah,
doing the Deep Space Nine space station, and I was trying to figure out how to light it. So
yeah,
I just went through the YouTube archives, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
your
yeah,
channel, and you had more than one Star Trek kit. That was the other thing.
yeah.
You know, so what else do you build other than sci-fi?
Well, I'll build anything really. To be fair, I'll have a go at building anything. Nothing really sort of phases me in that regard, because if you don't know how to build it, then it's worth building one of those kits to learn how to build it, because then you, as a modeler, you then tend to improve your own skill set all the time. I think it's good to push yourself out the comfort zone and build anything. So yeah, I mean, I've built quite a few cars as well, mainly 1/24th. But there's been a few 1/16th and a few 1/12 scale cars in there as well. I'm currently building two ships, two warships, and I also built a 1/350 submarine as well, and put that on a seascape.
So warships, are you talking about like battleships, or are you talking about like wooden ships? What are we talking about warships?
Well, yeah, modern warships. So your
Awesome.
destroyers and your frigates and whatnot. I mean, I did. Oh crikey! Many years ago, I built the HMS. Well, I'm going to say it's the Warspite, but I know that's wrong. But it was a British World War II battleship. It was the ship that my grandfather sailed on during the Second World War. I never actually knew him, to be fair, but it was a ship that he sailed on. So I built it for my mum and gave it to her so she could, so she'd have something to, well, not so much to remember him by, but have something that she could associate with him and what he used to do in the Second World War. And I did enjoy doing that build, actually. So I will be building a few more battleships, at some point in the future. But yeah, I mean, ships. I mean, that ship. It was. I can't remember what it was to begin. Oh no, it was the Valiant. Sorry, the HMS Valiant that I named it, but it was the HMS Warspite model kit. And of course, because it was the first ship I actually built, there was a lot of comments left by proper shipbuilders berating me, saying, "Oh no, you can't name a ship from Warspite to the Valiant, etc. They're not the same ship. This, that, and the other." I'm like, well, I built it for fun. I'm not what I would call a rivet counter. I don't really, sit there and I don't see the need to actually get something absolutely 100% right, because you're going down a slippery rabbit hole if you start doing that, in my belief. As long as I can get it somewhere in the 90% accuracy range, then I'm happy with that. And I think every builder has their own flair to a kit. So I don't see why you should build it to how somebody else says that you should. It's your kit. Build it the way that you like.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
It's crazy when you get into some of these Facebook communities and they're just torching you because you painted it like red instead of like black.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
stuff like that. That just drives me batty. It's like, why do you care?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there was, one of the channels that I follow, I think is the scale modeling channel. He just kind of basically builds cars. That's all he does, really. Um,
Yeah,
and it
yeah,
kind of always stands out to me because he built a particular car and he just painted it in the color that he wanted to, which is, as far as I'm concerned, that's fair enough. But somebody sort of like left a comment, well, why did you paint it in that color? That car doesn't come in that color from the manufacturer. That's wrong.
yeah, right,
And it's like, whoa, chill out, dude. You know, just
right.
chill. Have you ever heard of an aftermarket paint job?
Very true. Very true. It,
But
it,
that's just the way it goes. I
yeah,
think
and
as modelers, you're always forever going to need to or have to put up with people that want to berate you, for what you do. I just take no notice of them. There's no point in taking it to heart. When I first started my YouTube channel, if I got a dislike on a video that I did, I actually took it to heart, and I'm like, well, why doesn't he like that video? What have I done wrong? But now it's like, who cares?
hey,
Everybody's got
thanks
different
for
tastes.
leaving.
That's it.
You
Yeah,
know what I mean.
yeah, yeah. Thanks for leaving
Interaction's
the comment.
interaction at this point.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, yeah. Thanks for leaving the comment. Much appreciated.
Right.
That'd shut them down.
No, it's. Do you know who this is
Who's that? Well, who?
on the screen?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Well, they're going away.
Yeah, I'm not sure who that is. To be fair,
I have no idea. I don't even know what they're talking about. So
no.
they're history. I don't play around.
That's it.
One of the great things about StreamYard is I can block you from the chat. It's one of
Oh,
the
okay.
it's one of the up perks to this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can play God.
No. I don't need that. I don't need that title. No. Sorry. No. I don't need that title.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean though. You do actually get some silly people coming onto these things. I've seen it all before on other channels that I follow. When they go live, it's like, well, okay, whatever.
And you're eventually going to put up with that stuff. And it's the internet, right? Everybody
it is.
have an opinion. And so they express it, even though they need punched in the face sometimes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's just a damn shame that you can't reach your fist down the internet to do it.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Exactly.
And I think that's one of the reasons why I myself won't actually do any live videos, because you will get some crazy people coming on and leaving crazy comments. Is that Kenny that's just joined?
Yeah, Kenny's been on too. Kenny's a cool guy. He's kind of going through a transition at the moment, but he's a cool guy.
He is. Oh, he is going through. He's going through.
You'll have to check out his channel. What I'm talking about. He's got a bunch of stuff going on.
Oh, I know. Yeah. I do know that one. Yeah.
But my question to you is, where are you at in the world?
I am based in the UK, so I live in the United Kingdom. In a, well, I was going to say a town, but we've actually just gained city status. So I live in a city called Milton Keynes, which is about 40 miles north of London.
Oh, okay.
So
what's the hobby scene like over there for you?
There are a lot of hobbyists in the UK. The only problem is you get a lot of hobby shops, but you don't get a lot of sort of aftermarket people, that create aftermarket kits for models in the UK. So we, unfortunately, normally have to buy everything from America to do what we want to do. You have got places like Shapeways that you can go to. Depending on the bits and pieces that you want, you might be able to find them on eBay, but we don't really have any particular person that just makes parts for Star Trek kits over here. So it can get rather expensive.
Yeah, I could see that. Warhammer's a big thing in the UK, right? That seems to be pretty popular because it's based out of there, right? And same thing.
Yeah,
with,
it is indeed. Yeah.
The other company.
Yeah, I don't tend to get too involved with Warhammer because it's not something that sort of floats my boat, really. To be fair, so I don't really. Although I know that it's kind of based over here, started over here, that kind of thing. I've never really bothered to learn about it. Because it's not something that really does interest me, and it's not a genre of modeling that I'm interested in, to be fair.
And then someone says, and lighting boards, they're not really, you have to go somewhere else for those.
Yeah, the US. I mean, the only places that we can. Yeah, that was Mitch who said that, and luckily enough, he hasn't said "Hi, Dad" on the screen yet, like he said he was going to do. But yeah, we have to go to either Tenor Controls to get the boards, or Kenny at HLI. They're the only places that really do the boards. So we do have a guy over here who does limited parts. His channel, he's on YouTube as well, actually, to be fair. He's called Motion Picture Miniatures.
Yeah. I just found that channel.
Yeah. And at the moment, the only things that he does have that he can sell you are masking sets for the Enterprise D, and a few other little bits, a replacement neck that's more accurate to what the kit was, and then he also does the nacelles, the Bizarre scoops, and also the chiller grills for the kit as well. And he also does the mask set as well for both. So he's got the 2-color set, and he's also got the 5-color set as well, which represents what was in Generations. And he also does the head for the Romulan Warbird as well. I've spoken to him. In fact, he doesn't live that far away from me, to be fair, which was a bit of a shock to me. But he does want to go into making more parts for Star Trek kits, etc. But at the moment, he can't, because he's got, not only has he got his client builds, but he's also got a special project on at the moment. But he can't talk about that because it's all hush hush and it's a big secret. So
you gotta love that kind of stuff. So Seamus asks, have you tried 3D printing for the Trek kits if you're for your aftermarket parts?
Yes. Do you know what? No, I haven't, because I don't have a 3D printer. However, I will be buying one at some point this year. I've got a couple of rather large dioramas that I want to do, and it's going to involve a lot of 3D printing. And there's a lot of figures that I need for them, and other bits and pieces. So to keep the costs down, it's going to be cheaper for me to buy a 3D printer and then print them off myself. So at the moment, no, I haven't considered it. But when I get the 3D printer, yes, I will. So, and to be fair, I've already been going on, places like Thingiverse, 3D Cult, TBG Trader, and a few others. And I found quite a few different things. There's a few figurines, busts that I want to do. I've never done busts before, so that's something that I want to do.
Yeah,
So
they're
yeah,
a lot of fun. I enjoy that.
Yeah, and there's also one of the things that kind of upsets me a little bit, really, is the fact that you can't find any Stargate kits out there at all.
Well, okay,
like,
so that's not necessarily true.
oh, you
There's
can.
a miniature game. There's a miniature game that people have made pieces for that
Oh,
you
okay.
can upsize.
Right. Okay. I mean, made from from say like AMT or a model company like that. I've not seen any.
Yeah.
I've not seen any Stargate kits. But looking online, I've seen quite a few. So I've kind of put those in the file as well to print off when I get my 3D printer. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to be doing everything all at once because that's too much stuff there to do. But yeah. I mean, I've noticed ever since I've been looking on these, those kind of websites where you can download the files. There's just so much stuff out there that you can download and print off, and do whatever you want with it. It's like, wow, okay, this is going to be fun. And what surprised me as well is quite a lot of it is actually free, and it all looks like damn good stuff too. So
well, okay, so this is my take to it. You will eventually get to where you can look at a picture and tell that it's a crap file. I'm just saying.
yeah,
I've with the PLA stuff, it's you really have to pay attention. The resin stuff, you can kind of manipulate it and it'll turn out a lot better. But at first, it was rough. I printed out some real crap.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be one of those learning experiences. Not only to know who to sort of whose files to download, who does the best kits, but then also the printing of those kits as well. Because you've got all of the what do they call them again? Supports. You got all the supports that you need to put in there. So yeah, I've got to learn all that part. I mean, luckily enough, there's quite a few people in the UK, especially on the one of the groups that I'm subscribed to that I told you earlier on, Styrene Addiction, UK Styrene Addiction. There's a few people there that use 3D printers all the time. And then I've also got people that live close to me as well that I know that use 3D printers. So it's there's a lot of support out there for me, so I can sort of stick my hand up in the air and ask for help at any time, and there's always going to be a few people there to help.
And it sounds like Miguel's got stuff on his Hobbyworks page. I'm thinking that's what he's talking about.
Oh, Hobbyworks, yes, I've seen Hobbyworks as well. Actually, there's some quite nice stuff on there, I got to say. Yeah.
Super. Yeah.
I mean, stuff not only for Star Trek, but there's also stuff in there as well that will come in handy for, especially for when I do my first diorama, because within that, I mean, I've actually named it Camping at the Lake, which is what it will be. But essentially, there's going to be a couple of heavily customized VW campers that are in there. So it'd be good to go to Hobbyworks to sort of download the files there for the wheels and stuff that I need.
No, that's awesome. And that's the cool thing about 3D printing now is as long as you can like put it on paper or file, you can make anything. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're only limited by your imagination.
Yeah.
and how skillful you are with CAD and things like that. Which, to be fair, I'm pants at.
Well, I mean, the Devil Dog Miguel's channel.
Yeah,
He's been doing a tutorial on Blender, I
yeah,
think, and he's been walking people through it too. So
okay.
he's totally got down the 3D printed side of the hobby. It's crazy what
Yeah.
he's
In
done in the
that
last
case,
2 years.
yeah, in that case, I'm going to have to sub and watch and try and learn. I mean, I know they say it's you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but I'll give it a go. See what happens.
And you can even jump online with him and he'll help you too.
Yeah,
That's the cool part about it. It's totally interactive, and if you have questions,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that's for anybody. It's not just, he's so down to help, and it's awesome to see.
Yeah, and to be fair, I think that's an important part of the hobby as well. Is I mean, everybody learns, and I think the moment that you think that you don't need to learn, that's the moment that you should stop being a hobbyist. Because everybody needs to learn, no matter how skilled you are. There is always something else out there, around the next corner that you need to learn. Um, I think it's very important to try and give back to the community. Try and help other people as much as you can. If I get people asking me questions on my channel, I will always try and answer it. Unfortunately, sometimes I do tend to babble on, and before you know it, I've written War and Peace. Um, but as long as it helps, that's the main thing. Oh, and he's
Yeah,
going to be having some camping stuff too. Good.
yeah. Like I said, he's always way ahead of the curve, and I'm not sure how he figures that out, but he seems to be ahead of the curve. Always. I don't. Maybe he's got
He's
ESP or something.
he's
I
a
don't
sidekick.
know. Right?
Yeah.
It's
No, that's it. But no, I think it's essential just to help people. Especially. I mean, when I first come back into building models, um, that was when I built the Cardassian Glore cruiser, and I thought, right, okay, now is the time to actually have a serious stab building. You see, because when I was a kid, and I think most people started out as kids, helping Daddy build dinosaurs and things, just generally getting in the way more than anything else. And then when I got to my early teenage years, I just used to get the kits, stick them together without painting them or anything, and they essentially turned into a glue bomb. And then when I got into my later teenage years, that was when I first started painting them. And then I was on and off for years and years and years. But it was only when I got to do the Cardassian Glore Cruiser, that was when I thought, right, okay, now is the time to have a serious stab at this and try and do it properly. So I did a lot of research online. Boyd from Trekworks, he was a big help, because he shares all of his techniques and whatnot.
and I want Trekworks on here, just to be clear. I want him to come on here and talk too. So
that would be good. That would be good.
Yeah.
I know he's a rather busy lad, but that would be good if you could get him on. That would be a boon.
Yeah, that'll be one of those that even if I have to do it midnight, it'd be worth it.
Yeah, because well, I think he's in Texas, isn't he?
Yeah, but he here. There's like 3 shifts: day shift, swing shift, and graveyard. I don't know anymore, but he used to be just strictly working at night to, I think, compensate the heat in Texas, maybe,
Yeah.
or I don't know. But yeah, I know for a long time he used to just work on model kits and stuff at night. So
yeah. Because I think he was. I think he did. I know he used to spray cars a lot, but I think it was more sort of like accident repair and rather than the whole cars. And then he kind of gave that up to concentrate on building client models, which I think, if I'm right, he's now sort of come away from doing that.
You know, I mean, he seems to do a lot of everything, right?
He does, yeah. I mean, whatever he does, he seems to, even things. And I think, I think it's Boyd that kind of gave me the encouragement to step out my comfort zone, and that's why I'm thinking. Well, now I'm getting a 3D printer, and I'm going to be doing dioramas. Well, I might as well start doing figures. I might as well start doing busts. Because
right.
He's done exactly the same thing. He's gone from building Star Trek kits to scratch building to, doing literally everything. So it's, well, if he can do it, then I'm sure I can too.
Yeah, no, I mean it's unfortunately there's enough categories in this hobby
Yeah.
to where, and that's why I try to bring on other people too. It's not just the car guys. I mean, granted, there's a lot of them on here, but
oh yeah,
trying to get more of like sci-fi figures, people from like the UK, people from like Europe. I think next month there's someone from like Spain or France or something, or maybe he's in the UK. I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
But and then there's going to be a couple people on from like Australia that I've been able to talk to now.
Yeah.
It's But anyway, let's show a couple of the builds that you have done.
Right. Okay. So, well, the first one, I'll just turn out the main light for this one so you can see it in all its glory.
Okay.
There we go. Let's turn that one out. So this one is that I'll show you first is the USS Voyager. Yep. So that's what. Oh, it's the opposite way. So yeah, that's what that kit looks like. And then we've got the Delta Flyer. We've also got the Aero Shuttle, and I think they're the Type 8 and Type 9 shuttle. All lit up on the bottom of the stand there. I just thought that would be kind of a nice thing to do to show you the sort of different shuttles that they had on that particular kit. But that's what it looks like from the front end with the deflector array. And then if we turn her around, you've also got, it's a bit bright in there, unfortunately, but you've got the shuttle bay in there with a couple of shuttles in there as well. And I've just noticed a little bit of a light leak. So that's what that looks like. Unfortunately, thanks, Kenny. You can't see the rooms in there, but I went on to Shapeway, and there's 3D printed rooms in the larger windows.
Oh, okay.
But unfortunately, you can see them in person, but you can't see them on camera, which is a bit of a pain in the bum.
We deal with technology here. It's not a big deal, but it is cool to see that thing lit up. It is super cool.
Yeah, this is actually my favorite ship from Star Trek, beyond a shadow of a doubt. I absolutely love the Voyager, but it is my nemesis. Every time I build it, something always goes wrong. I mean, I built this one. I don't know if anybody here can remember, but this nacelle and pylon just stopped working completely. So rather than the kit meeting the wall at warp 9, I just decided to open it back up again. And I found out what had happened was where I'd actually put some super glue in for the photo etch fins for the impulse exhaust. The super glue had actually caught the wires on the inside. So when you tried to move the nacelle, it broke the wires on the inside. So I had to just basically go back in there and repair the damage, and then basically repair all the damage to the pylon and the nacelle that I caused to repair the damage. So yeah, that was a bit of a pain in the backside.
I'll
turn the main light on because the other two aren't lit up yet. So I don't want to start mucking about with all the lights. So this was the last kit that I built, and it's the first time I actually weathered a kit as well.
Oh, okay. I can
I've,
see that now. Yeah.
I've
There you
never
go.
actually weathered anything until this kit, and luckily enough, there's a couple of guys, Chris Cortell and Kenny May, that have both got YouTube channels, and they were very, very helpful in telling me what kind of paints to buy to actually clear coat the kit so I can do the weathering on it. And they gave me a lot of support, you know, in that little endeavor. But yeah, you can see, I mean, I kind of weathered it quite a lot.
No, I know. I can see it now. That's totally cool, man.
Yeah. So that's the first time I actually. Well, no, that's not true. It's the second time I weathered a kit. The first time I did it, I didn't know what the hell I was doing, and kind of messed it up. But then, kind of put a dusting of the primary color over it and kind of sorted it out. But yeah, so that's that one. And then if we go for the other one, which funnily enough is also from Voyager. So we've got this one. And this one does light up as well. It's just not powered in. But yeah, this is the first one that I actually weathered. And as I say, because I didn't actually use a clear lacquer to seal the acrylic, the acrylic paint that I put over the top got stuck in the acrylic underneath it. So I had to start respraying it in the primary color to sort of negate some of my muppetry.
No, I mean it looks super nice. I had nothing but problems with the kit that I had of that.
Well, I personally believe that if that kit was built on its own, if I'd have built that particular kit on its own, it would have been all right, because it kind of went together fairly well, that one. Even the big seam that's right down, you know, the length of the kit, I managed to get rid of that. Thanks, Ron. Yeah, I managed to get rid of the seam quite easily, and all the parts fitted properly. The biggest problem is introducing the light into it, because you've got the wiring, plus the fact you need to actually then start building it out of sequence, and
yeah,
causing everybody headaches. That's when you know, I started to find issues going down that sort of route, you know. So yeah, I did have a few headaches a few times that I had to bash my head off the bench. But I mean that one went. I mean, it's exactly the same as the marquee fighter. I mean, I can honestly say that I just literally put the parts on the bench, and it literally built itself. You know, and I think that's one of the things as well with those kits. I like to build those because you don't see those on YouTube. You know, I can't, apart from one person actually that built the Kazon fighter, who funnily enough belongs to HLI as well. Trekwork Studios is the guy's name. His name is Elliot, but Trekworks Studio, that's his YouTube channel. He's built the Kazon fighter, but he's the only other person that I know of that's actually built it or built it on YouTube.
I don't know if I did a video on mine. I know I built it, but I don't know if I did a video on it. It's pretty simple build, actually.
Yeah,
I remember right.
Yeah, I mean they're simple, but you know, I think, you know, those older kits that date back to the night, especially the Revell ones. I mean, Revell's always been a bit iffy, really, in some respects. But the older Revell kits, they do normally get bashed quite a bit for a bit like Airfix, actually. But I didn't have any problems. Mark, what do you mean by what kit is the Voyager? I mean, do you mean
Probably AMT or Revell. I
ah,
didn't know.
right, okay, yeah. So it's a Revell kit. It's Revell of Germany that built the kit.
I mean that would be my guess, right? I mean
Yeah, no,
that's
it
what
is
I
definitely
was
a Revell kit. But yeah, it's. I mean, the Voyager, as I say, I mean that's always been a nice kit to build. I mean, it's the same tooling that they've used since it's virtually since it. Well, when they took it over from Monogram, um, that was when they changed a few things, but essentially it's still the same tooling. When it was the Monogram kit, all of the windows were sort of like one great big square, rather than all separate individual windows. And Revell just decided that they were going to make them as separate windows, which is good. It saves a lot of scratch building. Well, not scratch building, but putting little pieces of styrene in to create the individual windows.
No, I mean it's super cool, right? All that little bitty stuff. Like I think there's even photo etch some pieces for some of these Star Trek kits now. I think.
Oh my, yeah. Honestly, there's well, you got Paragraphics. He does a lot of um, photo etch for Star Trek kits, from the smaller kits all the way up to the 1/350 scale refits and whatnot. And then there's I say relative newcomer. I don't think they're relatively new, but um, I think they're on the up and up and up. Green strawberry photo etch, and that's what I used on this Voyager was the green strawberry stuff. Yeah, and their stuff is really good. There's a lot of stuff that you get in the green strawberry that you don't in the paragraphics, but then there's stuff in the paragraphics that you don't get in the green strawberry. So you can either go with either or
Yeah.
if you got the funds, you could buy both and combine them so you can get all of the bits.
And I can never remember the company name, but I always go back to Tested to watch the video to see what the company name is.
Mm.
But it's one of the guys that used to make some of the Star Wars stuff for ILM, and he does Star Trek stuff too.
Yeah, yeah, I know who
Can't.
you're talking
It's a
about.
weird name, and I never remember it, but I
Yeah.
I know where the video's at.
You would have thought, yeah, because I'm the same as you. I can't remember either, to be fair. But you would have thought though, if it was a weird name, it would have stuck in your mind
Right.
rather
Right.
than Joe Blogs building or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if anybody out there is watching, if you know who that is, please let us know.
So my question to you is, with all the Star Trek stuff that you have done, what's the one cool thing that you've done? What's the one negative thing you wish they would change about some of those kits?
um, yeah, I mean, personally, I think they need to be more accurate with how they build their kits. To be fair, I know that would put a lot of aftermarket detailing sort of garage companies out of business. Um, but I think it would be a lot better if they could actually make them a little bit more accurate, so you don't have to spend so much time chopping the kit up and then scratch building stuff. Um, I think that would be the one thing I think that I would like to see changed, and preferably by tomorrow, please. One thing that I've built. Do you mean that I've built that I think is cool?
Sure. However
Um,
you say it.
I you see, I'm always very heavily critical of myself, and every person is their own worst critic. Um, I don't really like to. I'm not one of those people that like to brag about what they've made. But if you're going to put the spotlight on me and drive nails under my fingernails, I would say the one kit that I'm proud of the most is the Voyager. DS9 space station second, because that was a bit of a weird build, and putting all the floodlights on that and lighting up those stupidly small runabouts on that, that was a. Mitch says put Windows in Voyager. It's already got Windows, Mitch. It's just toying with me.
Put Windows in a Voyager. That's funny. That's like saying, not put any Windows on the Deep Space Nine ship. That's just silly.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think I mean, it's a cool kit, but I think it's actually the I think it's the windows that you can actually drill in through the Paragraphics kit that actually make that kit. Once you've got those little circular lights coming up around everywhere, around the inner ring and the outer ring and around the power core, etc. It's the lights on that make that kit. Without lighting on it, I think it would be a bit of a boring model to stick on the shelf, to be fair.
True. I agree. I know for me, one of the cool kits for me was the Deep Space Nine space station. I wish I could have. I still want to light one up, and I will at some point, but
yeah, I mean, I did that. Well, as you know, many years ago, and that was when I mean, because to me, lighting and circuit boards, etc. To me, it's still voodoo magic.
What do you mean by that? It's voodoo magic.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just trickery, isn't it? Really. I just, even though it's simple, I kind of struggle with it sometimes, and have to sit there and scratch my head for quite a while and think, well, how do I do this again? But yeah, I mean, that kit, if you can get the right circuit boards for it, because you can buy circuit. Well, we can't anymore, not from a company. We used to have a company called Maplins, where you could buy basic circuit boards just to, for blink rates, etc., which is all that kit needed really for the anti-collision lights and the warning beacons for the weapon cells. But also with the wiring on that one, I was at the time using fairly thick magnet wire because that was the only thing that I knew to use without causing any shorts on the inside, because the kit is so small on the inside, you can't use really thick wire. Otherwise, you're not going to get anywhere with it. Now, if I was to build it, I use 30 gauge wrapping wire. And that's, well, I mean, that's kind of how thin it is. And that is fine for any Star Trek kit because the amperage on it isn't that strong. And well, with me, I only put mine at 9 volts. So if I was to build another one, I would use the wrapping wire, which would leave a lot more room on the inside. Plus the fact it's actually more flexible than the slightly thicker magnet wire as well. Plus the fact you don't actually have to burn the coating off to actually, get your lights to light up.
No, I mean it it's, how do I say this? It's kind of crazy when you look at some of these companies that do the wiring kits, and how thin the wire is for some of those LEDs. It's mind-boggling.
Oh yeah, the little magnet wires. Yeah, because I mean, I tend to get most of my SMDs from the LED Baron, which is on eBay. He's based in Germany, but you can get a lot of it. He's got a hell of a lot of stuff on eBay, and you can either buy them pre-wired or just buy them themselves. But when you're looking at SMDs that are about a millimeter in length, Yeah, I'm sorry, but my eyesight is nowhere near good enough to be able to solder wires onto something that tiny.
Yeah.
You know, I struggle with the wires, for the 30 gauge wrapping wire that I use. I have to put two pairs of glasses on to be able to solder that stuff up. So,
I understand.
yeah, that's just the way
I
it goes.
I completely understand. Um, so what's the soldering iron that you like using for doing the lights?
Well, my one is well, it's a Maplin special, basically, a company that's no longer in business, but it's just called the Ultimate Gold. It goes up to 400 degrees, which is it's variable, with the temperature. So you can either dial the temperature right down, or you can sort of dial it right up if you need to burn, especially with magnet wire. You need it on a hotter heat to burn through the coating on that to be able to get the connection. But normally I've run it somewhere between 250 to 300. But it's a good little soldering iron. I've got a couple of different tips for it, but it's mainly the sort of really thin, pointy ones that I tend to use more than anything.
So, question on that: are you using it more on the high setting or the low setting, or does it depend on the?
It really depends. To be fair, I mean, if I'm soldering magnet wire from the SMDs to the 30 gauge wire, I always run it on the 400, because I know that way it will actually burn through the enamel coating on the magnet wire. But if I'm just soldering the 30 gauge to 30 gauge or to a circuit board, I just dial it down to sort of 250, 300. Especially with circuit boards, you don't really want to sort of heat sink them things, because otherwise, you could damage it and it won't work.
Okay. No, I mean that's awesome. I that's a good info. So, what other tools do you like using for the hobby? Like X-Acto blades, right? Or are you more of a snippers guy?
Yeah, I mean, I've got they're quite old, and I need to replace them. But yeah, I mean, that's what I've got for taking things off sprues. It's just one of those little snippy tools.
Okay.
It kind of gets used for everything, actually. I use it for snipping wire and everything as well. But then I've also got, where is it? I've got my little X-Acto blade there that I use. It's normally a number 11 blade that I've got on the end of it. That inevitably means that it goes into my hand quite a lot. But yeah, I normally tend to use the number 11 blades, especially the pointed end, the very sharp tip of it for taking windows out. Yeah, that's what I use that for mainly. But yeah, I don't normally use a lot of other knives, to be quite honest, for anything. It's just mainly the snippers and the X-Acto blade that I use.
Oh, I pushed the wrong button.
No, that's fine. I was getting a bit sick at looking myself there, so
So other tools that you use a lot of on the Star Trek stuff that you wouldn't think would be.
Yeah, I mean, I've got and I think it might be that one there. It's an Iwata Eclipse. I've had that for, oh crikey, must be about 8 years now. And apart from regular cleaning and oiling, nothing's gone wrong on this. I don't need to do anything with it. But I've got that attached to a 4-piston air compressor. Only because I've got some big ships that I want to build. I've got the 1350 refit kit, the original, or the TOS 350. I've also got the NXO 1350. In fact, I've got two of those because I've ordered the Howling Wolf 1350 NX01 conversion kit to turn it into the NX01 refit. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to build those all at once, one after the other, when I get everything in for them. But I've got a high volume, low pressure airbrush to do those. So I don't have to sit there for 10 hours just painting the saucer with, with a 0.5 mil needle in the air gun. The one that I've got, the high volume one, that's got a 0.8 mil needle in it, which will actually facilitate quicker painting. And plus the fact I know that the paint isn't going to be dry by the time I got to one end. Otherwise, you're going to end up with tiger stripes.
Yeah, that's true. Very true.
Yeah.
So my next question, what kind of paints are you using?
I, to be fair, mainly use Tamiya paints. Only because I like them. I used to use Humbrol enamel paints all the time. When I was a teenager and making glue bombs and everything, I used to use those. But I kind of, as I kind of went on, I kind of went off for the enamel paints because they take too long to dry. So I went over to the Tamiya acrylics, which dry relatively quick. So you're not sort of just sitting there waiting for. Well, literally, you're not sitting there watching paint dry. Which, let's face it, is quite a boring, unproductive thing to do. So yeah, I use Tamiya's mainly. I have actually bought some of those, gone to the dark side a little bit, and gone to the Humbrol acrylics, and they're quite good actually. To be fair, I've been using those on the ship that I'm building at the moment. As long as you mix them with acrylic thinner, I mean, I just use Tamiya acrylic thinner in that stuff, and that works really, really well. But I'm kind of thinking of branching out into different paints to use as well, especially, zero paints. I've used those as well when I've built cars. And
How do you like those compared to the Tamiya stuff?
What, the zero paints?
Yeah.
They're actually really good. I mean, I would say, they're proper paints that they use for the zero paints. I mean, it's basically proper car paint that you're using. And that stuff I actually find is really, really good because it lays down really smoothly. And it also, as auto paint does, dries pretty quickly as well, especially because you're only putting it on in thin layers. It dries really, really quickly. And they have, especially if you're doing cars, they've got a really good range of paints that they've already got out there on the market. But if you can't find the paint that you want, all you need to do is just send in the car paint code and they will mix you it, and then more than likely they'll end up start selling it as well. So,
and that's the zero paints?
Yeah, that's zero paints. Yeah.
Huh, I didn't know they did that. That's cool.
Yeah, their paints are really good. In fact, when I do the first diorama, the camping at the lake, I will be on the vehicles. I will just purely be using the zero paints on those.
Oh, cool.
Cool. And they also do the 2K clear gloss as well, which is again basically car paint. So yeah, I'll use the 2K clear as well. The only thing that you have to think about if you're using the 2K clear is if you don't build a lot of cars, don't buy a big bottle of it, because that will actually start to go off, and by the time you go around to use it, it'll just be rubber in the bottom of a jar.
Yeah, right. I've done the whole paint set things, and Yeah, it seems like I only use about half of it when I do.
Yeah. Robert is steel and chrome paste. I've not really used any steel paints, to be fair, but I know that there is a good range of paints out there. As for chrome, I use I can't remember its name, so I'm going to have to get the thingy out. Oh yeah, the Molotov Chrome.
Model toe chrome, huh?
Yeah,
Okay.
Molotov Chrome. You can get that anywhere really. I mean, I got the. Let me get it back out so the guys can see, just in case they haven't seen that. Let's make sure it's up the right way. So yeah, that's the paint, Molotov Chrome. You can either get that in a pen, which is good if you're just doing like chrome inserts on a bumper or on a grill. You know, the pens work fine. But this stuff in the refill, as long as you've shaken that up really, really well, you can actually stick this straight through your airbrush. Um, and it works straight through your airbrush without a problem at all. And then you can just clean it using your normal preferred airbrush cleaner. The only problem I would say with that stuff is that you need to think ahead with that because it does actually take a little while to dry. And it's all, I would say it's best to leave it for at least a week to 10 days before you touch it because otherwise you could leave fingerprints in it. Um,
Okay.
but, but apart from that, it's absolutely fantastic. It looks just like chrome once you sprayed it on.
So that stuff, can you clear coat it and it still look like chrome, or does it dull out?
No, it would dull. It would dull out if you was to clear coat it. So it's if you're doing like chrome details, window surrounds, that kind of thing, windscreen wipers, not the blades, but the wipers themselves, or the chrome strips that you get down the side of the car. I would put those on last after you've actually um, sort of clear coated the model. But certainly bumpers, etc. If you're gonna strip the chrome off that's on them, I would do that first, and then chrome, spray those with a Molotov, and just put those in a little container somewhere, and just leave them there until the end of the build, and then just put them on last. That's what I would normally do with that stuff, because otherwise, as I say, if you don't leave it for sort of 7 to 10 days, depending on the sort of temperature, really, um, it wouldn't have set properly. And as I say, you'll just leave smudgy fingerprints all in it.
No,
Um,
I I was just curious. I haven't used any of that stuff. I know when I painted Cyborg, I used that green stuff world, and the
mm,
same thing happened with that. As soon as I clear coated it, it dulled out, and I was like, oh, it looked
yeah,
so cool, and then it was like crap.
yeah. Because there's another company that I got some of their paints, but I don't really use them a great deal. Alclad. I've got a few of their paints. They've got a chrome system where you you've got a black primer that you would lay down, and then you've got a black gloss paint that you would lay down on top of that, and then you've got a chrome that you would sparingly sort of airbrush over the top of the black gloss until it starts to turn to a chrome color. But again, that stuff they have got stuff that you can put a clear coat over it with, but I found that again that kind of dulled the chrome down. Plus the fact you don't get, or I couldn't get the bright chrome look that you can with the Molotov pen. And rather than needing to actually put a black primer down, then a black gloss down, you can just primer whatever part it is with whatever color you want, whether it be a grey, white, or black primer, and then you can just spray the Molotov chrome straight over the top of that, and it's instantly nice and shiny chrome.
Yep, Gil's pretty much right on that. It's crazy, but you'd think you'd want to like clear coat that so it would last forever. But
Yeah, there is another one, and I can't remember the name of it now, but it's I've seen it on a UK website, and it's basically a powder that you brush on, um, and it's
Oh,
you would paint it well, depending on the type of paint that you use underneath, depends on whether it's a really bright chrome or a darker chrome. So if you use like a light blue with it, if you put a light blue paint down and then brush this stuff on with well, like a normal brush, really, I suppose, it turns out to be a real bright chrome. But if you was to put a black paint down and then brush that chrome on, it would turn out quite dark. Um, But the good thing is with that one is the fact that you can actually touch it, manhandle it, and you won't leave fingerprints in it. Or if you do, you just quickly brush it over again, and your fingerprints have disappeared. But again, you can't clear coat that. So
I'm gonna botch this, but it's Ushi, Aussie. Maybe that's what I'm talking about.
yeah, I've not heard of those, to be honest.
That's the metal powder.
Oh right,
I'm
yeah,
not sure.
yeah.
I'm not sure how to say that. So
I know it's not that one. I would imagine there's various different names on a theme. To be fair, like there is with everything really. I just can't remember the name of it, to be quite honest. It's just escaped me completely. But I know it's called something metallizer. It's called, but it is more than likely the same as what Red Dragon said there.
okay, so there any other paints that you like using?
No, I'm kind of, I suppose, a little bit old fashioned in that respect. I just stick to what I know. But I mean, there are, I think, is it ammo? Is it called? I think there's, yeah, ammo. I think it's called. I will be trying those. And when I start doing the figures that I want to do, then obviously I'm going to be buying all of the different flesh tones, etc., to do those. And I guess maybe oils as well. I don't know. I'm just going to have to watch some YouTube videos on how to paint figures. So.
And with oils, there's only one guy you need to go watch, and that's James Wapple.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's not doing big figures; he's doing like Warhammer stuff. But
yeah,
that's the guy. That's the guy to go watch.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, that's what I'll be doing, because the dioramas that I'm going to be doing, they're all going to be like 1/24th scale. So all of the figures that are going to be on there are going to be 1/24th scale figures.
Yeah, the pro acrylic paints are really good. Try the pro acrylic
MRP. Yeah, I've heard of those. I know people have been talking about those. But yeah, I mean, there's just so many different paint brands out there. I think
when it comes to the figure painting, when the miniature community is really pushing that stuff, and it seems like all of the miniature painters are headed to that stuff. So it's like you kind of follow that trend when a lot of the YouTube channels are going in that direction. You kind of follow along. I've not used it. I need to get up to Portland and buy a couple so I could try it out. But it's just, I don't go up to Portland a lot.
Yeah. No, I think I will be, when I've watched a few of the channels, I will definitely, be following what the most of them say. And if they say that that's what they use, the MRP Pro, then, well, if you can buy them in the UK, that is, then that's what I buy.
Oh, you're not able to get certain stuff, are you?
No, that's it. Yeah, I mean, there's certain stuff. I think there's, I think there's a company in America that makes car paints, which I think they're called Splash. I think, if I'm right. Somebody in the comments might put me wrong. Put me right if I'm wrong. And we can't get those over here, obviously, because it's classed as a fire risk. So therefore, they won't put it on planes, and obviously it then becomes, especially in small quantities, becomes too expensive to put it on a cargo vessel and ship it over to the UK. I find with a lot of companies in America, they're rather hesitant to send paints over to the UK for some reason.
I don't know. Gil says they ship to the UK, so I'll take his word on that.
Oh, okay. Oh well, Gil,
and,
I'll have a look at that then. Thank you very much. That's much appreciated.
And AK Next Gens are also good. I've
Yeah.
not used those either. So he's
Yeah.
got a bunch of different types of paint. So I kind of listen to what he says sometimes.
You see, the funny thing is, I mean, obviously each country has got their own separate laws on transportation of flammable goods, etc., etc. But over here, our Royal Mail, which is the equivalent of your USPS, they won't actually ship paints or anything that's flammable. So you then have to go via a courier that's actually fully licensed to be able to carry those things on board. But as a fireman pointed out to me, and actually said to the post office as well, well, you're carrying around paper in the back of your vans, which actually is the most flammable substance that you can have in a van. So
right.
a little bit of acrylic paint that is basically water-based isn't really going to cause too much damage, but they won't have it.
Oh, Rick, it sounds like you're going to have to share now.
Oh, yeah. Beer, please. I'll have a pint of Guinness, whoever's got any on the go.
Well, Sarah's closer to you, so when she gets hers, she'll send it over to you.
Okay, that's brilliant, Sarah. I'm holding you there. You need to send me a beer.
So we've hit about that hour mark. Did you have any questions for me?
Not really, to be fair. I mean, I've watched the channel. I kind of, know what you're about. I do tend to watch your, your live shows that you do, because to be fair, with those ones, you have different modelers coming on that basically deal with different genres. So you can pick up a lot of stuff from those things. So it's all I can say is keep it up, because it's fantastic.
Yeah, thank you for that. As of right now, I've got enough people signed up for like March.
Oh wow, okay.
And it's keeping people that want to come on. As long as I can keep getting people to come on, I'll keep doing this. It's fun for me. Maybe not this weekend because I did 2, but Yeah. Well, so I did one last night. There's this one, and then what time is it? So in about 45 minutes, then I'm going over to Gil's channel to start doing some of the figures for the class that we're going to be doing.
Oh, okay.
So it's going to be a long day for me. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, but then it's always good fun though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially meeting other modelers and then as you're doing teaching things, which is a worthwhile endeavor. Giving back to the community, I think, is an essential part of the hobby itself.
Which is why people like these. It's
exactly.
There's a great following that comes with this. And the channel's growing, which is awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been. I started this in February of 2020, so right before the pandemic kind of took off.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure how long this was even going to last, because
we're in 2023,
and at that time, not a lot of people had webcams and stuff. And then the pandemic hit, and that all changed.
And everybody went out and bought webcams and
right, because everybody needed them.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
Like I said, and we've had people that come back on too.
So which is good.
You know, it's
No, I
it's
mean it's
it's
to be
awesome.
fair, it is a worthwhile endeavor, really, to be quite honest, to get different modelers onto your channel, and just sit there talking about models and other little bits and pieces and hints, tips, tricks, whatever. You know, if anything can help people, then it's a worth. I mean, even if you've only helped one person, to me, that's a worthwhile endeavor.
Yeah. No, just this guy has gotten better.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know
there
what I
you
mean?
go.
Like this guy has gotten better at all
Yeah,
because everybody gives you a tip that is like, oh, I need to try that.
yeah, yeah,
And then it end up being part of the
yeah, and
so it's
that's what it's all that's what it's all about, isn't it? Really, if anybody can help you, even if it's with the smallest thing, for you it might be a massive hurdle, but for somebody else it might be, well, why are they stressing out about that? That's easy, But I think I think there's some people out there that kind of forget if you're starting out. It's a bit like driving a car. Nobody's got any patience for learner drivers. Let's face it. But you yourself was in that position at one stage. So it's like, well, give the guy a break. So yeah, I think even if it's one person that's been helped, then that's absolutely fantastic.
well, yeah. I mean, it's always a fun time.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
do you have any other questions for me?
Not really, to be quite honest, Josh. No, no. As I say, I mean, I watch your channel, and I watch these live shows because you never know what kind of new things that you can learn. Plus, the fact it's always good to see other modelers and actually see them talking about how they sort of go through the whole process and what genre that they're into.
Yeah, no, it is super cool.
Oh yeah,
I'm really appreciative of how everybody's kind of liked these, and then people
yeah,
comment, get in the chat. It's like I've been trying, like Ron Stewart, for example. I've been trying to get a hold of him for like 2 weeks now, and I
yeah,
think we finally have an email thing worked out to where he's going to email me. But
yeah,
it's that kind of challenge, and getting these set up so they're week to week
yeah,
is not
yeah. And having it consistent
not
as well. I mean, obviously,
hard,
I'm always.
but it's a lot of work, so
Oh yeah, yeah. I
it's
mean,
I couldn't imagine doing this every day like a normal TV talk show. I could not imagine. I would need like 5 people working with me
well, yeah. I
to
mean,
make that happen.
it would be the assistants to go out and do the research for you and bring the people in. So you just have to sit on the chair looking pretty, interviewing people. And that would be that. But yeah, especially with a one-man band, where you're actually um where you're actually having to do all of the legwork yourself and talking to people. There's a lot of work involved in that, just
Yeah.
for yourself, and I would hopefully say, and hopefully everybody will write it in there if they agree with me, but I would say that everybody would say that you're doing a bloody fantastic job, and that they appreciate you doing it as well.
I appreciate that, but there's, this is, it's not, it's work, right? I mean,
Oh yeah, yeah,
I'm not, like if you go back and watch the first couple, like it's night and day different on how I'm doing this because I've kind of gotten a routine,
yeah. I mean,
figured it out.
I think that's the same with anything, isn't it? When I first the Kardashian Galore Cruiser was uh, the first time that I actually videoed something and put it on YouTube. And if anybody is on here that wants a good laugh, I would suggest that they go and watch that Kardashian Galore build that I did, because every time I sort of come back to the screen to update, I'm like, "Hi guys, it's Richard back with you for another update," and then 2 minutes later, it's Hi, it's Richard back with you for another. I didn't really know what the hell I was doing,
Yeah.
but you kind of learn. And when I actually sat down, I thought, right, I'm going to watch that build series from YouTube and see what I think of it as a viewer. And well, I mean, to be quite honest, I was mortified the amount of times that I said, "Hi, I'm Richard." This, that, and the other. So you evolve and you learn, and you change how you do things. It's the same with modeling as well.
No, yeah, it's crazy. And Terry, there is a link in the description. And if it's not, I'll send it to you later. I'm pretty sure it's on there though.
Yeah,
I've been trying to do that lately. Is get
yeah.
you know.
Yeah, it's always nice just in case people want to check you out and have a bit of a laugh at your expense, Because I got to say, that's one thing. I don't take myself seriously when I build. I know some people do, but I don't. I don't tend to really take myself seriously. Um, you know, and sometimes I just muck about in the videos as well.
And it looks like Lynn has been watching you longer than I have.
Yes, Lynn. Lynn has been subscribed to my channel for quite some time, I believe.
That's cool.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. I've been following her channel for a long time. I know she is someone I would like to get on here too. But
Lynn, you're coming on the channel.
That's generally, that works for me.
Yeah, I mean, if I can do it, then I'm sure anybody. Because I mean, that's the thing. I'm not one of those people that like talking about myself. Although I would imagine Mitch might disagree with that because he always does. But yeah, I'm not really one of those people that like to big myself up, and I feel uncomfortable about doing things like that. But hey, if people enjoy my videos, if people enjoy what I'm doing, then that's great. But yeah, I don't like bigging myself up. I feel like an imposter if I do that.
This is coming from me, right? I think the cool thing about your channel when it comes to some of the like spaceships is you show the process.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people do that. And that what I think that separates you from a lot of the other guys that light up kits is you're actually showing the process. You might be fed up, right? Just because you can't sub, you can't show every. I mean, that'd be like a 3-hour video, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you have to kind of split it up. Mitch says we love you, Richard. Oh, thanks, Mitch. Yeah, I think again, as I say, I think it's Lynn's going to be building a helicopter. That'd be good.
I definitely.
I've never built a helicopter actually. That'd be a good fun build to do actually. I think again, I think it's because because I've watched Boyd from Trekworks, and he kind of goes into how he does it, etc. I mean, everybody builds things differently, so it's always good to get the views of different people. But I think it's essential, really, in model building that if you're going to be putting your videos on YouTube, that you kind of show people how you go about it. So especially if they're new to the hobby, it kind of gives them an understanding of how kits are built. I mean, everybody's got different ways of doing the same job. I mean, as the saying goes, and it's a horrible saying, but there's more than one way to skin a cat. I hate that saying, but it's used quite a lot. But I think if people can get a good understanding of how different people build kits, it will then inform them on maybe how they can actually build their kit. If they can pull techniques from various different places that suit them, then I think that's job done. Because as I say, I hate to repeat myself, but hey, Big Charles, how you doing?
But the one thing I will add to that, and it drives me friggin' batty, is you're watching a video and you can tell there's something different from segment to segment, and they don't
Yes.
show the whole process.
Yep.
That stuff irritates me more than anything because I'm trying to figure out how they're doing, getting it all to work, and they're not showing one of the pieces, and it's like, "Argh!"
Yeah, and I don't do that. I mean, what you see is how I do it. Whether it be right or whether it be wrong, that's how I do it. And if people can learn from that, that's great. So I would rather kind of show the whole process, kind of explain how I'm going to do it, and then kind of put it in front of you once I've done it, and then kind of say, well, that kind of didn't work that way, so I had to do it X, Y, Z. So you've got a visual representation then of how that's done, and I've always tried to do it that way. Keep it clean, keep it honest. I'm not big into having a big production and a fanfare and all that kind of malarkey, because it's just about the hobby, isn't it, really, and just basically sitting there rattling on, as I tend to do. I mean, the amount it takes me to put a video out because I just rattle on, it's just unbelievable.
But anyway, if you ain't got any more questions for me, thank you for making this work this weekend. I really appreciate that. I know I learned quite a bit today.
Brilliant,
I'm sure other people will too. But I will talk to you in a couple minutes. And okay.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Well, thank you for having me, Josh. It's been a privilege to come on and talk to these people. Everybody there.
Thank you.
And hopefully they might have learned something. If not, that's also great. Some of them are more than likely more experienced than I am.
All right, everybody. That was Richard from Doughnuts in Space. I know he's a channel I've been following for a long time. I know doing some of the Star Trek stuff, I know I definitely learn a lot from his channel. So if nothing else, at least go check out some of the builds that he's done over there. And if you're not subscribed to him, go ahead and subscribe. But anyway, I've got like a half-hour break before I go join Gil over at the Red Dragon Model Works. I think that's the channel we're doing it on today. And I will see you guys in a little bit. Bye.